If you wake at 3:33, whisper this, a night blessing for protection. You open your eyes and the room is filled with silence so deep it almost feels alive. The clock beside you glows, and there it is again. 3:33. Your chest tightens as questions rush in. Why does this keep happening? Why at this exact time? Why me? Perhaps you have brushed it off before, convincing yourself it is coincidence, nothing more than a trick of the body or a restless night. But deep down, you know this moment carries a weight. There is a reason your eyes open at this very hour, again and again, as if something is waiting for you in the stillness. Imagine the world outside. Streets empty, houses dark, the city asleep. Yet you are awake, pulled out of rest by a force you cannot name. It feels intrusive, but also strangely intentional. The hour has chosen you, and whether you admit it or not, you feel it. 3:33 is not just a number, it is a signal. It is a doorway. It is the soft hand of the divine shaking your soul awake. The night can be heavy. Shadows seem thicker when everyone else sleeps. Thoughts louder when no sound is in the air. And fear, oh fear, it grows quickly in silence. But what if the darkness you feel pressing in is not meant to crush you, but to make you stop? What if the silence is not empty, but full of meaning? What if the very reason you are awake right now is that heaven itself has leaned closer, whispering, "Listen, tonight we will walk through this hour together. You will see that you are not alone. You will discover why this time matters, what it carries, and how a single whisper can transform fear into peace. By the end, 3:33 will no longer be a curse to you. It will be a blessing. Not a disruption, but a divine appointment. Not a prison, but an open gate. This is the moment where silence becomes sanctuary, where fear bows to faith, and where you discover the haven that has been inside you all along. The moment arrives suddenly, without warning, without preparation, without the comfort of understanding. You open your eyes and realize that the night has not yet loosened its grip. The world outside your window is asleep, but your body has stirred, and your mind is already alive. The clock glows quietly in the dark, its numbers sharp against the silence. 3:33. Again. That familiar pattern you have seen before, now returning as if it were waiting for you. You stare at the digits, and something inside you tightens, because deep down you know this moment is not just a random flicker of time. It carries weight, a weight you feel in your chest, in your breathing, in the stillness that surrounds you. It is as if the hour itself has singled you out, chosen you, pulled you awake with purpose. At first there is confusion, the same confusion that has visited you on other nights. Why now? Why this exact moment? Why again? You tell yourself it is nothing, that the body simply misfired, that sleep released you for no reason at all. Yet in the core of your being you resist that explanation. The pattern is too precise, the moment too charged. You sense there is something more, something hidden beneath the surface of numbers and silence, something that cannot be explained away by chance. And so you lie there, caught between fear and curiosity, caught between the instinct to dismiss it and the pull to pay attention. The darkness feels heavier in these minutes than at any other time. Every shadow in the room seems to hold presence. Every creak of the house echoes louder. The silence presses on your ears, amplifying the sound of your own breath. Even the beat of your heart feels louder, almost intrusive, as though your body is reminding you that you are still here, still alive, still waiting for meaning. It is in that heightened awareness that unease grows. Fear slips in, not with words but with feeling, whispering that something is wrong, that something is near, that this hour is not safe. And yet, if you are willing to hold that moment without running, you will notice something else beneath the surface. Fear is not the only presence in the room. Alongside the dread, there is a subtle tug, a sense that this awakening carries invitation. The unease is real, but so is the whisper that perhaps this interruption is not punishment, but purpose. Perhaps the silence is not empty, but full. Perhaps the numbers on the clock are not coincidence, but signal. The very tension you feel in your body is evidence that the moment has depth, that the hour itself is alive with meaning, that what unsettles you is also summoning you. The awakening moment is powerful precisely because it strips you bare. You are not surrounded by daylight distractions, not shielded by conversation, not hidden behind the noise of the world. You are alone with yourself, with the silence, with the unseen. Vulnerability sharpens perception. In the stillness, every thought rings louder, every emotion feels magnified, every question echoes deeper. This is why the awakening stirs you so forcefully. Because here, in this window of night, your soul is fully awake, exposed to realities you might ignore in the brightness of the day. The experience is unsettling, but it is also sacred. It is as though time itself has paused, waiting to see how you will respond. You can try to push it aside, to bury yourself back into sleep, to convince yourself it is meaningless. But the pull will remain. The number will return. The hour will knock again, and each time it comes, it carries the same hidden invitation. To stop, to notice, to acknowledge that this moment matters. You are not awake by accident. You are awake on purpose. Something greater than you has placed its hand on your shoulder and shaken you gently, whispering in silence, calling you to lift your eyes from the clock and realize you are being addressed. When you find yourself awake at 3:33, you may think at first that your body has failed you, that rest has been stolen and sleep interrupted without reason. You may imagine it is only the weight of stress, the rhythm of worry, or the random cycle of the mind that has brought you into wakefulness. But beneath that surface explanation lies something deeper, something far older, something that has stirred countless others before you. The truth is that you have been called, and the one who calls does not shout, does not rattle, does not force. Instead, the voice that summons the soul chooses silence, chooses the stillness of the night, chooses the exact moment when everything else is quiet enough for you to hear. This is why the call feels hidden. It does not arrive with trumpet or thunder, but with a nudge so subtle it would be easy to dismiss. A stirring in your chest, a breath that feels heavier, a thought that refuses to let you return to sleep. The soul speaks in whispers, and so does the divine. They both reach for you when you are at your most unguarded, when your defenses are lowered, when your mind has not yet filled itself with noise. The hour of 3:33 is not chosen at random. It is the hour when the body is weary, the mind is vulnerable, and the heart is open. It is the window where heaven leans close and says, "Pay attention." But because the call is hidden, your first reaction is often discomfort. You feel unsettled because the moment demands something of you. You are shaken because you know in the depths of your being that it is more than coincidence. And discomfort always accompanies encounter. Whenever the soul is stirred, there is friction. You feel the push of mystery against the pull of doubt, the invitation of faith pressing against the instinct of fear. The hidden call is not about comfort. It is about awakening. It is about drawing you out of the ordinary and into the extraordinary. Consider how often in the stories of old the divine appeared in whispers. A prophet sought God in the earthquake, in the fire, in the storm. But the voice came instead in a gentle breath. That same breath calls you now. Not to overwhelm, not to terrify, but to invite. The quiet hour of night is chosen precisely because it cannot be drowned out by the clamor of the day. In this silence you are forced to face yourself, to notice the stirring in your spirit, to realize that the reason you cannot sleep is not because of chance, but because of purpose. There are many who will dismiss this. They will say it is nothing but a restless cycle of the body, and you may be tempted to believe them, to shrug it off, to roll over and return to the comfort of denial. But you already know the truth. You have felt the weight of the moment. You have noticed how the number returns again and again. You have sensed that this is not empty but charged, not random but deliberate. To deny it is to deny your own spirit, for your soul knows when it is being called, even if your mind resists. The hidden call of the soul is not meant to explain everything to you in an instant. It is not a puzzle that can be solved with logic alone. It is an invitation into mystery, an urging to step into prayer, reflection, silence, surrender. The divine does not wake you at this hour so that you can have all the answers. You are awakened so that you will pay attention, so that you will create space, so that you will allow the eternal to speak in ways that go beyond words. If you respond, if you breathe and acknowledge the moment, you will begin to notice how the atmosphere changes. The fear that pressed in becomes lighter. The silence that felt oppressive begins to feel charged with presence. The restlessness softens into awareness. The call remains hidden to the eye, but clear to the heart. You realize you are not alone in this room, not abandoned in this hour, not forgotten in the dark. You are being sought, being stirred, being invited. This is why you are awake. Not because the body has failed you, but because the soul has reached for you. The hidden call may not shout, but once you learn to listen, you cannot unhear it. The more you pay attention, the more you realize that what woke you was not an accident. It was alignment. It was purpose. It was love disguised as disturbance, mercy disguised as interruption, eternity disguised as a number on a clock. You did not stumble into this moment. You were led to it. And if you lean in, if you allow yourself to hear, you will discover that the hidden call of the soul is not meant to trouble you, but to transform you. When your eyes fall on the numbers glowing in the silence of the night, there is something about 333 that refuses to be dismissed. The pattern feels deliberate, almost designed, as though the hour itself is speaking. It is not 331 or 334. It is precise, repeating, undeniable. Numbers like this have carried weight for centuries. They do not simply tell time. They tell stories. They reveal patterns. They echo truths that stretch beyond mathematics and into the soul. 3 has always been more than a number. It is the rhythm of completeness. Morning, afternoon, and night. Beginning, middle, and end. Birth, life, and death. Body, mind, and spirit. In Scripture, the pattern is everywhere. On the third day, light breaks through the tomb. Threefold blessings are spoken over the people of God. Faith, hope, and love stand together as pillars that never fall. 3 is balance. 3 is unity. 3 is wholeness. When you see it repeated, not once but 3 times, its meaning intensifies. It is as though heaven is underlining the message, drawing your attention to the sacred symmetry, reminding you of divine order in the midst of your confusion. At 333, you are not simply staring at digits. You are staring into a mirror of alignment. The repetition is not random, it is intentional. It tells you that the scattered pieces of your life are not as fractured as you think. It whispers that balance is possible, that order exists even in chaos, that what feels broken can still be gathered into wholeness. The number does not cause these things, it reveals them. It points to a reality greater than your own awareness. It reminds you that the story of your life is not drifting without direction, but moving toward harmony. In the quiet of this hour, 3 threes stand like a signpost. They remind you of the mystery of the Trinity, the eternal fellowship of Father, Son, and Spirit, 3 in 1, unity that is unbreakable, presence that is never absent. They remind you of Peter, who denied 3 times and was restored 3 times, showing that failure is not final and restoration is always near. They remind you of the resurrection, the triumph that came on the 3rd day, when death was swallowed by life. Each layer of meaning adds depth. Each story reinforces the pattern. Each reminder strengthens the truth that what you are experiencing is not empty repetition but divine signature. Some may scoff at the idea that numbers can carry meaning. They will say it is coincidence, that it is nothing but digits on a clock. But your spirit knows better. Your spirit recognizes that the moment feels heavier than chance, that the repetition demands notice, that the alignment of the 3s awakens something deeper than explanation. What you sense in your chest, what you feel in the air, is the recognition that heaven often speaks through patterns. Creation itself was built on rhythm, on seasons, on cycles, on order. The sun rises and sets, the moon waxes and wanes, tides rise and fall, all in perfect pattern. Why would the one who created rhythm not use numbers to remind you of the same? The symbolism of 333 is not meant to trap you in superstition. It is not magic, not fate, not a curse. It is a reminder. It is a call to remember that your life is being held in hands that see order where you see chaos, balance where you see imbalance, harmony where you see conflict. The number calls you to trust that what feels broken is not beyond repair, that what seems scattered is being gathered, that what looks random is being guided. So when you wake at 3:33, do not dismiss it. Do not fear it. Receive it as a sign that heaven is close, that balance is near, that your soul is being aligned. Let the number become a symbol etched into your heart, a sacred reminder that even in the deepest night you are not adrift, not forgotten, not without purpose. You are being reminded of wholeness, of unity, of the completeness that flows from the presence of the eternal. Every time those digits appear, let them anchor you. Let them remind you that resurrection always follows the third day, that restoration always follows failure, that light always follows darkness. The number 333 is not a chain around you. It is a key in your hand. It opens the door of awareness. It calls you into alignment. It points you back to the truth that the one who formed time itself has written his order into your hours. When the clock glows and the numbers stare back at you, do not see them as a threat. See them as a sign. See them as the handwriting of heaven on the face of time, a quiet message that says, "You are not in chaos. You are in my hands. You are not lost. You are aligned. You are not forgotten. You are whole." The night has always carried a weight that the day cannot match. When the sun is up, everything feels exposed, explained, defined by its clarity. But when darkness settles, the world changes. Shadows stretch across familiar spaces, silence fills the air, and every sound carries farther than it should. For many, this brings fear. The night is associated with loneliness, with hidden dangers, with the unease of what cannot be seen. Yet those who have walked the paths of prayer, who have sought wisdom in solitude, know that the night is not merely a place of fear. It is a place of encounter. It is a sacred space. Imagine the stillness of these hours. No voices from the street, no busyness of the market, no clamor of schedules and demands. The silence feels thick, almost tangible, and in that silence your spirit awakens. This is why prophets in ancient days prayed through the night. This is why poets wrote by candlelight when the world slept. This is why seekers listened in the silence, knowing that what could not be heard in the light of day could only be revealed in the depths of night. The very stillness that unsettles you is the same stillness that allows heaven to speak most clearly. When you wake at 3:33, it is not simply to be tormented by restlessness. It is to be given a chance to see the night differently. What you once labeled as danger can become sanctuary. What you once thought of as emptiness can become fullness. The silence that felt oppressive becomes holy ground. The darkness that made you shrink becomes the backdrop for light. If the day is where you labor and strive, the night is where you receive. The night is where you stop grasping for answers and allow yourself to hear. Think of the world outside your window. While others sleep, the earth breathes quietly. Trees rest, rivers slow, the wind softens. Creation itself seems to pause, holding its breath. And in that pause, you are invited to pause as well. The night becomes a temple without walls, a cathedral without ceiling, a sanctuary not made by human hands. You do not need to travel far to enter it. You are already standing inside it the moment your eyes open and you realize the silence surrounds you. Of course, the instinct is to fear it. Darkness hides what you cannot see, and silence exposes what you have tried to ignore. Your thoughts grow louder, your memories sharper, your emotions heavier. But this is why the night is sacred. Because in the day, you bury what you do not want to face beneath noise and distraction. In the night, there is nowhere to run. And in that vulnerability, in that raw honesty, the voice of the divine can finally be heard. The night is not your enemy. The night is the stage for revelation. Throughout history, encounters with God, visions, revelations, and breakthroughs have come in the night. Jacob wrestled with the angel until dawn. Samuel heard his name called in the silence of night. Jesus withdrew to the mountains to pray under the stars. Paul and Silas sang hymns in the prison at midnight until the earth shook. Again and again the night is shown to be not a prison, but a place where heaven bends close and eternity touches time. When you wake at 3:33, you are joining that same pattern, stepping into the sacred history of countless others who found that night is not the absence of God, but the chosen space where He reveals Himself. So tonight, instead of fighting against the night, welcome it. Instead of shrinking from the silence, lean into it. Instead of fearing the shadows, recognize them as the canvas on which light becomes most visible. The night is sacred precisely because it strips away illusions. It takes away your props, your distractions, your excuses, until only you remain, standing bare before the eternal. And in that rawness, you discover that you are not alone. You discover that the silence hums with presence. You discover that the night is holy. The next time you wake at 3:33, do not see the darkness as a threat. See it as a sanctuary. Whisper to yourself that the room is not empty but full. Let your breathing slow. Let your heart open. And let the night become what it was always meant to be. Not a season of fear, but a sacred chamber where heaven and earth draw close, where your soul is awakened, and where peace becomes possible. In the quiet of 3:33, when shadows seem thicker and silence presses harder, the mind often races with questions and fears. What if something is wrong? What if the darkness means danger? What if the waking is punishment? These thoughts crowd the heart quickly, and the more you try to fight them, the stronger they seem to grow. But the secret of this hour is that fear does not have the final word. Anxiety does not have the last voice. There is a way to shift the atmosphere, and it begins not with force, not with long speeches, not with desperate cries, but with something far simpler. It begins with a whisper. The most powerful prayers are often the shortest ones. They do not rely on eloquence or volume. They rely on intention and faith. A whisper spoken with belief carries more weight than 1,000 words spoken with doubt. At 3:33, when you feel the press of fear, what you need is not a flood of language but a single phrase that cuts through the silence and reorders the night. The whisper becomes your shield. It is not the length of your words that matters, but the heart that carries them. Take your hand and place it over your chest. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat, steady and persistent, reminding you that you are alive, reminding you that you are not abandoned. Draw in a slow breath, filling your lungs until you sense calm entering with the air. Exhale, letting go of everything heavy. And in that moment of release, let your voice form these words, soft enough that only you and heaven can hear. I am surrounded by light. I am shielded by peace. I am safe in the embrace of the divine. Speak it once and let the words linger. Speak it again and let the meaning sink deeper. Speak it a third time and let it settle like armor over your soul. As the whisper leaves your lips, imagine a circle of golden light forming around you. At first it is small, close to your heart, barely larger than your body. But with each repetition, it expands. It grows to cover you entirely, to wrap your bed, to fill your room, to shield your mind from every anxious thought. This is not fantasy, it is faith. It is not imagination, it is alignment. You are not creating protection out of nothing. You are awakening to the protection that already surrounds you. The whisper does not summon something distant. It reminds you of what is already near. The moment you speak, the atmosphere shifts. The shadows lose their power. The silence no longer threatens, but calms. The fear that pressed against you dissolves, replaced by peace that settles over you like a blanket. The whisper is not a plea. It is a declaration. It is the truth spoken aloud, reminding both you and the unseen that you are not alone, not unguarded, not forgotten. You may think such simplicity cannot hold power, but think of how many times the smallest actions have carried the greatest strength. A mustard seed, though tiny, holds the potential of a tree. A spark, though small, ignites a fire. A whisper, though soft, can silence fear. At 3:33, you do not need to conquer the night with effort. You need only to claim your place within it. And the whisper, is your claim. There will be nights when you feel too weak to pray long prayers, too weary to form complex words. But even then, you can whisper. You can let your voice form the shield around you. You can breathe peace into your chest with each word. The whisper will always be enough, because its power is not in volume, but in the one who hears it. And the one who hears it does not sleep. From now on, let this be your practice. When you wake, do not surrender to fear. Place your hand on your heart, breathe deeply, and whisper the blessing. Let the words build a shield around you. Let the light surround you. Let the peace protect you. You will find that the very hour that once made you tremble now becomes the hour that restores you. The night that once felt hostile becomes your sanctuary. The silence that once overwhelmed you becomes filled with presence. The whisper is not complicated, not hidden, not unreachable. It is within your breath, within your voice, within your reach at any moment. And each time you use it, you will discover again what you are truly surrounded by. Not fear, but light. Not chaos, but peace. Not abandonment, but embrace. There comes a moment in every journey when the pieces come together, when what once seemed like fragments finally form a picture. Tonight, as you reflect on the mystery of waking at 3:33, you can see what you could not see before. The hour that once frightened you, the silence that once pressed against you, the shadows that once unsettled you, none of them hold the same weight anymore. What you thought was only interruption has revealed itself as invitation. What you thought was chaos has shown itself to be alignment. What you thought was loneliness has been unmasked as presence. The night has not been your enemy. It has been your teacher, your sanctuary, your sacred threshold. When you wake again at this hour, and you will not be the same as before. You will not tremble as you once did. You will not shrink back into fear, trying to bury yourself in blankets and pretend it means nothing. Instead, you will remember. You will remember that 3:33 is not a curse, but a call, not an accident, but a sign, not a threat, but a reminder. You will breathe. You will place your hand over your heart. You will whisper your blessing. And as the words form, you will feel the shield surround you again, golden and strong, wrapping you in light, sealing you in peace, holding you in divine embrace. The fear that once dictated your nights will no longer have authority over you. You will step into authority yourself. You will carry the awareness that what seemed like darkness has only been the backdrop against which your inner light shines more clearly. You will rise from victimhood into strength, from confusion into clarity, from trembling into confidence. And as this transformation deepens, you will realize that the blessing of 3:33 was never only for the night. It was for the day as well. The peace you whispered in the dark will follow you into the morning. The shield you imagined around your body will walk with you through crowded streets, through work, through stress, through uncertainty. What began as a midnight ritual will become a way of life. The discovery you have made is not bound to a clock. It is not imprisoned by numbers. It is the discovery of your inner haven, the sacred refuge that has always lived within you, waiting for you to awaken to it. Every breath of calm, every whispered word of protection, every vision of light surrounding you, all of it was pointing back to this truth. You are not defenseless. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. The haven is not somewhere far away, not locked behind ritual or distant walls. It is within you. It rises with you. It shields you even when you are unaware. And so, as you close your eyes again, as your body softens and rest returns, let the final thought in your mind be not of fear, but of certainty. The night is not empty. The silence is not abandonment. 3:33 is not coincidence. All of it is invitation. All of it is reminder. All of it is gift. From this night forward, let every awakening become an encounter. Let every whisper become a shield. Let every breath become a prayer. You will rest now, but you will not rest as before. You will rest in peace, in protection, in presence. You will rest knowing that the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps watches over you. You will rest knowing that your haven is secure, that your soul is guarded, that your spirit is embraced. This is the conclusion of the night, but the beginning of a new way of seeing. The numbers no longer unsettle you. The silence no longer terrifies you. The night no longer rules you. You walk in peace, you rest in safety, and you rise renewed. This is your inner haven, and from now on, it goes with you wherever you are.